There's this old chestnut in business that people love to bandy about when they're talking about the difference between being involved with something and being committed to it.
I know where you're going with
You know
this.
where I'm going. Of course you do, as do you, right? The chicken and the pig. The ham and eggs breakfast. The chicken was involved, the pig was committed. Not a great result for the pig, you could say. But today we're here to talk a little bit about commitment and actually to talk about sacrifice, which goes along with it.
So in July, Chris and I are celebrating a milestone wedding anniversary. It will be our 25th.
I can't tell you the date. No, I can't. Of course I can't. Yeah, and so as we're looking forward to that, it's given us an opportunity to, first of all, reflect on the mostly blissful years we've had together and give thanks to God for them. And in doing that, to also use the opportunity to think more deeply about what our commitment to each other means, and also how it sits within the context of our greater commitment to Christ, first and foremost, and then to our brothers and sisters within our church community.
A lot of our conversations just between the two of us over the last couple of weeks, we keep coming back around to the word commitment and the richness of commitment. And we know that that might sound like a contradiction for a lot of people because commitment can be or seem to be a burden or something that places constraints on your life. But I have to say that for us, and this is what we're going to explore in the conversation today, it's been actually a great liberator.
It feels to us, at least, that the age we live in devalues commitment, whether that's at a relational level or even in the work. Everything is about making sure that I'm getting the maximum benefit out of every situation that I find myself in. And we honor that there's obviously situations that people shouldn't be in and don't need to be in, but at the same time, I think we're missing a huge opportunity to celebrate what commitment can actually do in our lives.
Exactly, and speaking of relationships, that's where I find commitment to be very beneficial because I feel within the safety and security of that dually committed relationship, it strengthens daily joy. And I know that that's also partly because commitment opens us up to vulnerability. It's kind of scary. We can't predict what's going to happen. We don't know. We can't write the script. And the other side of that is that when we open ourselves up to that vulnerability, it allows us to be fully known and fully loved. And there's a certainty in that love that it's not going away.
I love the way Madeleine L'Engle puts what you were just saying. She says that if we commit ourselves to one person, then it's not, as some people think, a rejection of freedom, but rather it demands the courage to move into all the risks of freedom and the risk of love, which is permanent, into that love which is not possession, but participation.
Yeah, I like that.
And so when we flip this idea that everything has to be what we can get out of it, then it becomes about how we can participate and how we can share, and it becomes self-sacrificial in giving. And to me, that is the number one key to any commitment, whether you're talking about, you know, the covenant of marriage or a commitment within a church or other setting. What is it that we are willing to give up of ourselves? And as Christians, we're actually demanded to give up everything of ourselves.
Yeah. But why is self-sacrifice so scary? Like, why does that word elicit negative reactions?
I think just for the reason I just said, that it demands letting go and laying down what we think is us, right?
And I think self-sacrifice within commitment actually is what brings that deep joy, because when we're committed in any kind of relationship, it means we're not just being a consumer, we're being an active, wholehearted participant.
There are times when I know I'm not the funnest person for you to be around.
Likewise.
And yet you love me anyway, and you find ways to honor me, and you do that despite what your emotions may be telling you at that moment.
Exactly. And I think one of the healthy sides of commitment is that active love, that active service within a committed relationship, when it's not based on how someone else is treating me or how things are going or exterior circumstances. We have that fundamental commitment, and with God's help, we're going to make it work.
I couldn't say better myself, so I won't try. Another fundamental and massive benefit that we get from commitment is the security of knowing that come what may, we're in this together. And I want to talk for a minute about what that's like in a church community, because I feel one of the greatest gifts of a covenanted church is that we know we have brothers and sisters who will literally go through thick and thin with us for the remainder of our lives. We're used to people asking us how we can be so sure that making a commitment to one particular group of people, one church community, is what's going to last for our whole lives. And I would say in response that I look at the relationship you and I have. God put something in my heart to say, this is the person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life. Just as He gave each of us a vocation, that a call to church community to living out a life with brothers and sisters is the best way that we can serve. And and is it perfect? No. Is our marriage perfect? Of course not. But we're working at it and we're committed to it, and that's what gives it both stability, strength, and I think ultimately joy.
And commitment is so great at allowing for imperfection because it holds us, it guides us, it gives us that security, and it's a two-way thing that's not going anywhere. And I think that's the little secret there with commitment. We can be imperfect and perfectly imperfect, and we can strive for love, not perfection.
Mm-hmm. We know that in the early church they did that for each other. Yeah. Brothers and sisters were of one heart and one mind, it says. They shared everything, nobody called anything their own, and it was, must have been so impactful and so reinvigorating and regenerative. And we get to experience a little taste of that in our daily lives. And yeah, it takes work. We have to again and again return to the source of our inspiration. And I think as we do in our marriage, also live in the moment, forgive each other the little petty grievances that we have, try not to let them fester and grow. And within that, we're fostering commitment.
Exactly, and I think it takes truckloads of grace too, and humor, and really not keeping any kind of score. That's for a marriage as much as for church community, to really let things go. And you use the word regenerative, and I think that is one of the big gifts of commitment. It's constantly regenerating because there's commitment from both sides, and because people want to stay in and keep going and really have each other's back and best interest. I think that's what allows for regenerative growth. You want the best for the other person. You want to see them flourishing. And I think there's a lot of agricultural metaphors. But yeah, it's healthy.
Each season, to continue the agricultural metaphors, builds on the one preceding it. But really, the central thing is to live in the moment, to be present. To be present for the person that we're committed to be present for the people that we're committed to, and in that, we're celebrating the regeneration that we were talking about.
And I think that when we look at that fallow field and get ready for seeding or harvesting that bounteous crop.
We're doing the whole.
Yeah, we're just going there. We're just going there. It's honoring the commitment that we have to that piece of land or to that heart or to that church.
C.S. Lewis, in his amazing book, The Four Loves, talks about how unlikely it is that through the course of a marriage, a couple is going to stay at the beginning, at the point where their love burned so brightly for each other that they just were head over heels and just full of giggles and, couldn't get anything done because of just being gaga about each other, right? I mean, some of us stayed that way for 25 years and counting, but hey, no. And the point he's making is that you don't need to be in love to love. Yeah. And there's a richness of love that carries us through even when times are tough. When you go through sickness, when you go through loss. And to know that you have somebody who, come what may, will be alongside you. No matter how much we hurt each other, no matter how broken or messy life becomes. That is a powerful thing, friends, and we hope it's something that everybody gets to experience in some way in their lifetime. Can I just pitch one more agricultural thing into the
Go for it.
Okay, this one's from the Bible. Jesus gives us this beautiful illustration of the kingdom of heaven. And I think on its best days, our marriage, our life together in community can be a little foretaste of the kingdom of heaven.
Absolutely.
He says there was a man who discovered a treasure hidden in a field, and he so badly wanted to get his hands on it that he sold absolutely everything that he had, sacrificed in other words, bought that field, and then he had the treasure. And that's beautiful. We all want the treasure, right? We want the treasure all the time. But I'm just thinking, that man also bought a field, literally, okay?
Yeah,
he bought the rocks and the weeds and the roots and all the stuff that he actually wasn't that keen on came with the treasure as part of the package.
Right.
And I think that's something to remember. There are days when we can just ponder the treasure. It's just glorious. But there are other days when probably we just look at the field and go, there's a field. Guys, I hope these thoughts have been of some benefit to you. Thank you very much for being with us.
And we look forward to hearing your responses in the comments and the ongoing conversation there, and your contributions are most welcome. We're considering putting together a bit of a video about our wedding anniversary.
What it was like all of 25 years ago to get married in Bruderhof. Is that something you guys are interested in? Let us know.
Let us know, yeah. But otherwise, every best blessing till we talk again soon.
In the meantime, I'm going to go find myself some ham and eggs.